Thanks so much for joining us here on 9 News Plus. I'm Meteorologist Chris Bianchi. All right, question we get all the time here at the 9 News Weather Department is why March is our snowiest month of the year here in Denver along the Front Range and across eastern Colorado. Now, to back things on up, if you're new to Colorado, the eastern part of the state in particular tends to get really snowy Marches, but there's a bit of a caveat to it. Let's start things off by taking a look at what we know. Now, this was 2 years ago, March of 2021. That is my dog moving its way through, snorkeling its way through about 2 feet of snow. You might remember this snowstorm if you were around the Denver area back 2 years ago. We got about 27 inches worth of snowfall in the Denver area, and that made my dog absolutely thrilled. She loved that snowstorm. I imagine a lot of our furry friends were pretty thrilled about that snowstorm. And March and April tend to be our snowiest time of the year here along the Front Range. Now, there's a couple reasons for it, and I'll get into those here in just a second. Now, this is based on data from the Central Park Weather Station here in Denver, and this is over a 30-year average. We average about 9 inches of snow over the course of the month of March. But, and I'm going to get into more detail on this here in just a second, March tends to be a real hit or miss kind of month for us. Look at this. In 2003, we picked up over 35 inches worth of snowfall in just that month alone. In 2021, during the snowstorm I was just showing you a second ago with my dog, we picked up 34 inches worth of snowfall over the course of that month. And we've had several 30-inch plus Marches. And if you might notice, the average is about 9 to 10 inches worth of snowfall over the course of the month of March. Last year, by the way, 2022, we had about 13 inches worth of snowfall. But as I mentioned, it tends to be a boom or bust kind of month. We either end up with maybe an inch or two of snowfall, or we end up with these kind of crazy 2-foot plus snowfall totals. And the reason being why March can be so snowy for us here along the Front Range and in eastern Colorado, why it tends to average those highest totals, is it's because we are very prone to getting big storms. So January, December, February, we're a bit more consistently snowy. We'll get 3, 4, 5 inches, but it's hard to get big storms that time of year. In March, because the jet stream is often at its strongest and it tends to lead to a favorable storm track for us here along the Front Range, we're pretty prone to getting big storms. That said, we tend to get all those storms at once. So if we don't get a big storm, we're probably not getting a ton of snow, if that makes sense. So again, it tends to be a bit of a boom or bust type of setup for us here along the Front Range. So this is the rough jet stream pattern. Now, anytime you see these dips and kind of the movement within the jet stream, notice how it's kind of curving around a lot. That is usually what we tend to see in the month of March, and that tends to lead to big storms. Now, this time of year, as you might notice, in March, it can be still really cold. We can get temperatures easily below zero in Denver along the Front Range this time of year, and we can also have pretty warm temperatures. We've had even 80-degree days in the month of March in Denver and along the Front Range in the month of March. And it's because what leads to a really strong jet stream is the battle between really cold temperatures and really warm temperatures. And usually there's not that big of a divide between the really cold air and the really warm air. Long story short here, folks, is that Mother Nature, what weather is just Mother Nature trying to balance itself out. So if it's really cold in one place, it's probably really warm somewhere else. And in between that, you've got a jet stream that serves as the divider between that very cold and very warm air mass. And sometimes that divider tends to sit right over us, and when it does, that's when we can get our big snowstorms. And often that divider, again, tends to move its way over Colorado this time of year. And that said, this is the official outlook for this current March of 2023, and the current outlook is for equal chances for an above or below average precipitation month for us here along the Front Range. I will say overall, there are some hints that we could be in for a busier than usual March for us here along the Front Range. Just some hints, but overall, those top line takeaways. One, really strong jet stream. That's what makes March March. We tend to get these big snowstorms, and it's because of that roaring jet stream. And number two, where that jet stream is it tends to be over Colorado this time of year. So again, that tends to lead to that possibility for some of those big snowstorms. And then number three is just, it can be boom or bust. And that's important to take away here as well. So it's we're either getting 2 feet of snow, we're either winning the Super Bowl, or we're getting 0. It's kind of, or we're missing the playoffs. We're either getting 2 feet of snow, 20, 25, 30, sometimes even 35 inches worth of snowfall, or we're getting maybe 1 or 2. That's what March tends to be for us here along the Front Range. And again, maybe a few hints that this month could be a bit busier and a bit more active than other Marches. Hopefully that sums it up for you why March tends to be such a snowy month for us here along the Front Range.